What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to do two different things. I want to look at the review scores for both Street Fighter 6 as well as Diablo 4. They basically came out around, 5-10 hours of each other. Thought I'd put them into the same video. There'll be a timestamp, and you'll see the chapters in the video if you just want to watch one or the other. So I do want to start with Street Fighter. Let's look at it. 92 score, I guess, based off 66 critic reviews. Pretty darn high. I watched a couple YouTubers review it as well, and as we know, with review scores on Metacritic, the YouTube scores don't always make it in. In fact, most times they don't. And this one has the higher score. So now that we're comparing them, not that these two games are anything alike, and even in the slightest, but 92, absolute phenomenal. Got the Metacritic must-play little signature tag, and people love it. This game is getting a lot of 10s, a lot of 9s. I think the lowest score is a 7, which is still, considered rather good. And so I do want to focus on some of the bigger things that people are saying about it, and honestly things that make me as a newcomer, and I've talked about that before in past videos, very happy. So really what it comes down to is just everything working. One of the things that you see kind of repeated over and over and over in the reviews is what's here is extremely, extremely good. The fighters, whether they're returning characters or new characters, are extremely detailed. You can get into it. A thing that's kind of universal, and you could say, well, it's just gaming journalists, not being good at playing games or not. Again, for me, it's a good thing. A lot of talk about those modern controls, right? That this game really does seem to be the best fight, or one of the best fighting games to these people in terms of newcomers and in terms of people that are already good at it. And that's what I've always said kind of about these modern controls. You don't have to like them. You don't have to play with them. They're just a way for new players, such as maybe even myself, to get in, to learn timing, to learn precision, and then you can kind of upgrade to the classic controls. And so that's something that in every single review that you see, a really big part of it is, look, if you're somebody that's coming, into the game, somebody that's new, this is absolutely the game to do it. Whether you do the World Tour mode, which is also kind of a tutorial, it'll get you used to different things, or whether literally it's for those modern controls. And there's pros and cons, right? The modern controls, you can't do every single combo of a character. It limits you just a little bit. They talk about the net code and just everything working really, really smoothly. It does seem like a lot of, at least those initial launch issues that plague Street Fighter V are not present, in this one. Everything that's there is working extremely well. Again, very detailed. The tutorial mode, or just them kind of teaching you how to do each character, is extremely, extremely detailed. So for me, again, as a newcomer, I get very excited for this because it does seem like a game that you can go in as a pro, you can go in as a beginner and get extremely good, or just feel like at least you have a chance. And then everything else this game has with its, abundance of modes, which it really does seem to have quite a few of them, and they all work. The only negative that I've seen really in this entire game is that World Tour. And it seems like you either lean into its goofiness and not really taking it too seriously, or you don't really like it. And that seems to be, from what I've seen from the reviews, some people just don't like it whatsoever. Some people lean into it. It is goofy. I've seen some of the cutscenes for it and kind of like the plot of what you're doing. It's probably something, honestly, a lot of hardcore people are probably going to skip, considering, again, it also serves as a tutorial. It also kind of helps you see, okay, if you're fighting more than, well, you're never going to be fighting necessarily 3-4 enemies, at one time, but this gets you into, okay, different situations that could arise. So 92, phenomenal. As I always say, and I'm sure we'll say this for Diablo in just a second, review scores are just one piece of the puzzle. Make your own decision. For me, this was a game I was going to buy when I woke up today before I saw the review scores, and for sure now it still is the exact same way. It helps. Getting a 92, I'm sure, helps, but this didn't make or break the game, in my opinion. And then we jump to Diablo 4, 88 based off 44 critic reviews. I think it's higher on PlayStation. This is like the PC version on Metacritic. PlayStation, I think, is like in the very, very low 90s, like 91, but it's less than half of the critics that reviewed it for PC. So I would go based off the PC one. 88, again, extremely high. Now, Diablo is a bit different. I would say Diablo is different. One negative, we'll start there, for Diablo that I've seen, more or less goes to the worry of the future. So I've seen a couple of YouTubers talk about this. I've seen some of the reviews kind of go into the, live service, or just the idea that this is going to be a game that lives beyond, day one. And I guess when you start to go in some of the negative or the lower, again, I think like the lowest scores for Diablo 4 may also be like a 7. So 7 seems to be the absolute lowest that either of these two games are getting. But it's more about worry. It's more about, okay, are they going to pull something with real world currency? Are they going to pull something with messing with one of the classes, kind of down the line? So more about, okay, the game itself is really, really good. We'll talk about that in a second, but people do seem to be impressed with what's there. It's more about what's coming or what could happen that kind of scares people. That's fair. I think when you have a company that is kind of known for doing it, I don't know if it's 100% like everybody's going to believe it or lean into it, because if you're reviewing the game on what it is, to talk about the potential future maybe isn't fair. But yet again, Blizzard doesn't have the best practices long term. And then the only other negative, and this will kind of lead into the positive, is some people aren't thrilled with the content, but this does seem to be on the lower end. This seems to be the ones kind of giving it the 7s, or maybe even the 8s, is maybe you can get through the story a bit too quickly, things like that. But at the end of the day, I kind of, from what I've seen, what I've heard other people say, but also like literally the gameplay of Diablo, the game is enormous. Now you can, from what I have seen online, you can go through the game rather quickly in terms of the story. Some people beat it in 11 or less hours, but it's more about the end game stuff and just the abundance of things to do in this game. You can play this game for hundreds of hours, even just once. Make one class, make it one spec or one build, and just play it, one time from beginning to end. You could probably sink 100+ hours just with that, and that's not replaying it. So I don't know. I mean, everybody is entitled to their own opinions. People have their own opinions. It seems to me that the game has plenty of content. Again, this is another one that, seeing the 88, this was a game I was going to get. I've talked about kind of how I'm going into this game. I just want really more of Diablo 3. I just want something you can almost turn your brain off and just kind of get caught in that gameplay loop. That does seem exactly what this game is, whether you're doing dungeons or world events or, whatever. Seems like you're just going to have a lot of fun, and it seems like the classes are diverse enough and you can, build them the way that you want to, and you're going to need to kind of do that, especially when you get to level 50. So read the reviews. I guess you want to read for sure. I'm not telling you, not to read anything, but the reviews for both of them do seem extremely, extremely high. I'm pumped. I'll be playing both of them. We'll see, based off interest and stuff. I'll probably do a review, or I'll definitely be covering both these games in videos. So let me know in the comments which of these two games, if either of these two games you're getting. Make sure you guys are subscribed, bell icon turned on. I hope to see you all on the next one.